just click share, second screen, optimize should be on it, just click optimize here and second screen. And then we have also the zoom over here, so it doesn't look bad. And
for the one with the PowerPoint, you should bring the zoom here.
Or just okay. the zoom you can keep as is. Okay. And here in the folder, you would just, this one is, I think, the next one, an open one. And then there, which we don't want. I will drag this in over here. Make it a little bit smaller.
So if it opens over here, I should bring it here.
Yeah. So I mean, it makes it easier for you because you need to do something here.
Yeah.
But you would go to slideshow again and start from first slide, and it should be just like this. Presentation there.
Okay. Maybe I should try now.
Yeah.
Stop sharing.
Yeah. And maybe close all of them. So right click. Oh yeah, just. And if it doesn't want to, then I would just go here, right click, close all windows. And then also here, right click on Windows. And here we just want to close like this one again at 11. And then you will see this one to close. Are you presenting?
Yes.
The first one? Third one. Okay.
It's not working.
Yeah, I think maybe the mouse is over there. Then you have to go all the way to the left. Yeah, there it comes back. So yeah, folder. This one is the first one. It's presentation. You would drag it over and drop it. Yeah, and you need to share it via Zoom.
It's okay. I'm sharing by night. Is it okay for you to copy?
No, I think we have everything. Yeah, you can check again in a second. Yeah, it's okay. Should be. You selected the second screen.
Yeah, it's
okay. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah. And then the presenter can just up here. Actually, they can also use this one. Here on the side. The pointer. Yeah, and then just click back down. Except the first ones. The first one with the PDF, I would highly recommend using the next buttons, because otherwise, if I click these, you see it will not move all the way.
Yeah, okay. But with PowerPoint, then with this,
it's possible. Okay.
I think this is the first here.
Yeah, you can also keep it open. I will just for the very top. And let's quickly check for you.
The third, it will.
Okay.
I mean, is it in PowerPoint? Yeah, you can also present in PowerPoint.
Yeah. And here again in PowerPoint, you go to slideshow.
Yeah.
So then start from first slide.
Yeah.
And it just opens. And you can go for. If someone asks for notes, you can go down here and say notes, and the notes will open if they have any. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
I just wanted to check my slides.
Okay.
I had uploaded.
Yeah. Simon, it's fancy transition about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I go to the slide?
Is it?
Yeah, it's mine. I'm presenting. Okay.
I would recommend
This one.
Yeah. slideshow and from. Just go to the last slides. Last. Ah, okay. I just wanted to check this one
Okay.
because there is markings. Thank you.
Okay.
So also for all the presenters, this will show you what the people will see.
Okay,
So
we can
you
just,
don't have to look behind you, you can just look behind.
okay.
The first one has. Okay. Oh, on this one. Okay, we do this.
Put it right.
Thank you, put it. And then we can. Yes, and the microphones actually involved. Yeah. Yeah, selection. Yeah, no, okay. Same here. Just like we do. And then we have one selection. Yeah, make sure. All right. Should we close the blinds? No? Fine. Okay. They don't want. Okay.
So I could maybe put the first presentation because it's almost time.
Can you actually go to the stop sharing for a second? Can you share again? Yeah. Thank you. Just because the wall or something, but I guess it's. No,
But this is the first presentation. Oh, no, this is it.
yeah, you know, it's down. So.
But I can also.
Um.
Stop sharing and then maybe upload.
You put it in. And you want the browser. And you can also presentation. We can minimize these already started. Stop this. Now we are all.
This is, but this is not the first one. Ah, yeah, okay, then no, this one was, there's, wait. This is, no, I think it's the wrong one. Yeah, I think we have it as PDF first. Yeah, PDF, and he just gave me the, so he presented, he prepared a PowerPoint. Yeah. Ah, okay, I thought it was no, it's already there. Ah, okay. So let's go to. Yeah. Okay. They can use this, but. Yes. Yeah, okay.
So we have the one.
So you can check here, everything is forwarded here. Yeah, yeah, there is the first one.
Okay. Also, don't know me. I have a job and I have a shadow the second now. So one is here, is off. You can see that my name Edward. The Indian, this is the name I never be able to pronounce it. By Tanya? Correct? Yes. Okay. Okay. So you're very much in time, right? The key lecture is still ongoing. And I suppose the key lecture, sorry, I don't know your name. Can we communicate with the plenary on how much they will be delayed? Because we may have to give them a little time to at least get a chance to come here, or do we adjust to the online? Because they have just started with their second keynote.
Well, then maybe I should call Adrian.
Yes,
He's the one. Like,
yeah, maybe, yeah, and check with him whether we should wait a few minutes before we start to give them a chance.
Okay, because I think this is the presentation. They all just price.
From Tanzania, our colleague from Tanzania can see you. Okay. He wants you. Is it okay for you? At least give us another 5 minutes.
Yes, yeah, it's okay, because getting here is a challenge. The direction is not very clear.
Yeah, I had a nice job. So he was studying here, so he gave us a shortcut. And then we had someone with a key who opened the correct door in time, otherwise I would have been delayed as well.
I don't want to be open, so.
So but and Johnny, yeah, can you come here already? And do we have microphones and the pointer?
Yeah. I will contact.
Okay, so you already come here, please? So then we can. Sorry, that is your family name, Everett. Are we from? Yeah. You're transmitting already, I assume. Can we inform the online participants that we will be transmitting? If they're
No one is connected yet, so. I think no one is,
connected?
I mean, it's already shared on Zoom already, so,
Okay, so but we
So
can
people should-
quickly say you're 5 minutes later.
yeah.
Okay. We may have to push the front of your mouth again in case it's in the something.
Really?
And the fun part was that it started.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
we
we
come
come
to
to
see
see
that.
that.
Yeah.
But one thing.
Yeah, it's in. It's on already.
Okay, is there someone online? No, there's no one online, then I can shout here. No, it's no one online, so we can shout. Okay, so welcome to this session on food environment. The session was compiled with the assistance of two colleagues, and we had so many questions that they actually have for nutrition sessions. So I'm very honored to share this one now, and the core topic on food environment. And we will start with Tony Wusu after.
Right.
He will talk about consumption patterns and perception of healthiness of convenience foods in low-income urban communities and implications for public health.
Thank you.
You have 8 minutes, and then
Okay, so I greet you all with this simple question for you to think about. The question is, are we bewitching or maybe say witch hunting convenience food? Just for you to think about. But my perspective is that no, we are not witch hunting convenience food. Convenience food in a context where you need no time or minimal time to eat. These are the type of food we are talking about. However, we cannot undermine the fact that the crop of convenience food we have currently has been linked to chronic illness. And against this backdrop, we are exploring the consumption patterns and perception of healthiness of convenience food in low-income communities in Ghana, the implication for public health. It's not working. Can I go? Yeah, so dietary related non-communicable disease are sharply rising across low and middle income countries, and that includes Ghana. And the key driver is, one of the key drivers has to do with consumption of certain type of convenience food that are high in energy, but they are low in nutrient. And this situation is not solely by individual food choices, but they are shaped by the food environment. Food environment is an interface that allows individuals to make food choices. And it is mingle and commingle with availability of certain kind of food, affordability, and as well as marketing of mainly ultra processed food, both in the formal and the informal sector. In Ghana, this type of food environment reinforces dietary behavior that elevates, NCD risks, especially among the vulnerable population. And as a result of that, this study explored the types of convenience food being consumed in low-income urban communities in Accra and assessed their consumption perception regarding to healthiness as well as their consumption pattern. So basically, we employ cross-sectional design, and the tool that was pre-tested and also piloted. And we enroll it on a software called the Machine. Machine is a software that allows you to collect both spatial and non-spatial data. The study area is Accra metropolitan area, which was stratified by Ghana Statistical Service by indicating or using rent price. So for special representative, we selected 5 different committees across the study area. And by a method of weighted proportion, we determine the number of interviews that has to be, conducted in each, sampling community. And as a result of that, we also went further to randomly select EAR enumeration areas within which the number of households were selected to conduct the interview. So the total of 506 interview conducted in this regard. So the study employ mixed method, but the survey is what is completed. Some key variables that were determined just for the sake of time, we measured BMI and we also measured blood pressure. The blood pressure, I want to say that we took it 3 times to find the average. So first, second, third reading was used and which we follow the CDC protocol. Also, this is just to give you the spatial representation of the food outlet that how it is in our study area. When you see the deep green is referring to places that they are much more informal food outlets. It also indicates urban poor communities because that's their major source of livelihood. So this also gives you the count. So the brown count you see there is actually the home location of the study respondent, and the green that you see is the littering or the number of food outlet, informal food outlet within our study area. Now, general characteristics of the respondent, they are mainly female. Why? Because the phenomena under study in our context is handled by female. And at the time of visitation, you are likely to meet female as compared to male. That's why we have 75% of them female, and 25% of them are male. Marital status, 48% married and about 35% single. Their food security status, it ranges from mild to severe insecurity in the among our study population. So now, occupation are mainly traded food vendors and artisans. Then talking about their BMI ranges from overweight to obese, and this is a true reflection because when we're taking their blood pressure, there was a time we couldn't even take some of them their blood pressure because it happened that their arm were bigger than what it's supposed to do. So we needed to replace it before we were able to do that. Dietary diversity score 3, which shows that their dietary diversity is low and NCD protect is 1.2. It also indicates a deficiency in essential micronutrient as well among our study area. Now, this is the main deal. Types of convenience food in our study area. We identified 3 levels. First one is high level convenience, which means that you need minimal or no amount of time for you to be able to consume such a food. Second one is a medium, which means that it has been, you need further step, even though it has been a certain level, we need further step for it to be ready for consumption. And low level, you start from the beginning to the end. But at each level, we use the NOVA food classification system to categorize them in terms of the processing level, because the fact that it's convenient doesn't mean that it is processed. So you could see that, for example, high level convenience, the first one, fruits are fresh, but you don't need to prepare to eat. So that is low level, convenience process, unprocessed or low process. Then the middle one, which is a moderate or processed one, roasted groundnut is also a kind of, process, but it's not as compared to highly processed one. So highly processed category, you could see things like carbonated drinks and also, ready to eat meal as well. So this run across the middle convenience level and also the low convenience level, each having the level of processing food according to the NOVA food classification. So where do they get their food from? There are 4 major food outlets that were identified. That is street vendors, convenience shop. These are small shops within the locality that they get their food from. Traditional market, and also Choba is actually local restaurant. Their means of transportation are mainly walking because most of the food outlets are located within their space, so they don't need to. It's also tell you that they much more go for convenient food than any other. 94% of them purchase convenience food according to our results. And also, we went further to check about some variable as against systolic blood pressure. And our model shows that age was a consistent predictor as well as the frequency of consumption. In the first model, without exercise, BMI was not significant. But in the second model, when we introduced exercise, BMI became significant. It also suggests the reduction of confounding variables as well. So these are the visual representatives of it. We went further to find out when it comes to why is consumption frequency, significant. So we ran further analysis and realized that those who consume the convenience processed food on a weekly basis are susceptible to elevated blood pressure, according to our data. Perception, they mainly believe that convenience food are healthy. Why? Because there are a number of marketing and advertising out there that says that when you take, you get energy, you get this, you get that. So they believe that convenience processed food are actually, healthy. Barrier of healthy food, prices are high, lack of accessibility, and also limited availability of healthy food. Some also believe that desirability, healthy food are not tasty as compared to, the convenience processed food. And also others also say is lack of nutrition awareness. So in conclusion, we identified 3 levels of convenience food among our study area, and also partly due to accessibility of them, and they are very affordable according to them, and they perceive that they are healthy as well. So also we also realized that consumption frequency of convenient processed food also were related to elevated blood pressure. So recommendation, we need to do a further research because this was a cross-sectional design. We need a longitudinal design so that we can establish the pathway between consumption of convenience food and that of the NCD regs. And I said that we can have a recommendation at the individual level, community level, and also policy level to handle the menace of the inflicted convenience food, which are also high in energy and also low in nutrient in our food environment. Thank you very much.
There are questions because we have to rush through the results. Would you expect that result? Yeah. She's super basic. Can you give us an example? One leading to
Okay. So I have it already in the results, and so here, and I said that the high level convenience food are food that need no preparation or minimal preparation for you to consume. And the middle, even though it has been industrially prepared, but you need a further step for it to be ready. And the low level, you need to start from the beginning to the end. And the examples are listed there. In the high level, the low or minimum processed one are like fresh food that we have. The second one, that is roasted granite, is also a convenient, which is, moderately processed, and a highly processed one under the high, convenience level are things like Coke and ready-to-eat meals and stuff. So all the examples run out. Some of them are locally, named food. If I mention some of them to you, you may not be able to get it, but those that are not locally, like yam, for instance, you need to prepare from the beginning to the end, and it falls under low-level convenience, minimally or no process. So it runs across. Yeah.
The idea is humans prefer convenient foods, right? And it's interesting that you have unprocessed convenient foods and ultra-processed. In terms of choices, did the consumer prefer the convenient and processed or the convenient and processed?
So thank you very much. So they prefer the convenient processed one, which is like need no time or minimal time to consume. And that's why 94% of them go for that, according to the data.
So the challenge of convenience food is not coming, of course, it's already, and Nicola is coming and changing the microphone. The challenge with the food and convenience, it's not necessarily 100%, that's what we need to verify.
Yeah.
Because metal is a ready to eat, very convenient, but we can't rely on it immediately. And like the transform to ketchup, which is readily available in Ghana, tomato, then you would criticize that a lot because it's a highly processed food and also very convenient for the pasta dishes.
Yeah.
You can't change. So
Alright.
there is a debate, are they changing the price for them? There is ongoing debate with the has been identified as that. We are currently heavily debating whether it should be not often one or price prices are not necessarily uncommon. There's no conclusion in the nutrition field yet. For those who were not here in the very beginning, my name is Silva John. I'm a human nutrition and public scientist working for the Alliance for Research here. And I'm happy to see all of you here and sorry for this delay and we have to start. We are now having Nicanor, he's my colleague, so I'm getting closer. And he's looking into the spatial distribution of animals and healthy food. So very much aligned with what.
Thank you very much, Johnny, for setting the stage. And I want to pick it from where you've left by looking at the spatial distribution of healthy and unhealthy food groups in rural and urban food environment, a case study of Kenya. Like you've pointed out, there is growing NCD burden or non-communicable diseases burden across the globe, and particularly in the low middle income area. This has been associated with the changing food environment, which is highly influencing the availability of unhealthy food groups. Now, you did well to define the food environment, but I would say also that it is the space within the food system. So we need to understand the food system where now consumers are able to make the choices or decision on what they consume. Now, despite this high or increasing NCD burden in low middle income countries, a lot of food environment studies has been done, but very few quantitatively characterize the retail food environment in relation to their contribution to the non-communicable disease burden. One of the challenges is because the tools used are not very related to the NCDs. And so recently there is a tool called Diet Quality Questionnaire, which has been tested and found suitable to be used in low middle income country. This tool has composed 3 indices. It has composed what we call Global Dietary Recommendations, which is GDR score. It has also composed NCD Protect, which ensure to measure availability of healthy food groups which can protect against non-communicable diseases, and NCD Risk, which measures the availability of unhealthy food groups in their contribution to NCD risk. Mostly, like you have pointed out, people have used ANOVA, but it is not clear which the NOVA, not ANOVA, sorry, the NOVA classification, which classifies food based on the processing level. But you cannot clearly cut which processing level is unhealthy or unhealthy. It is a debate. However, the NCD Risk and NCD Protect food has been scientifically established which food promote NCD risk and which food protect against NCD risk. So this tool allows us, therefore, to monitor the availability of healthy and unhealthy food groups, but also ensure that we can see which areas are they concentrated in to ensure monitoring. And so I have 2 objectives. One, adopt indices to characterize food environment, and then develop methodology to identify areas where there are more healthy food groups or where there are more unhealthy food groups. This study was conducted in Kenya in 2 distinct areas: Nairobi, which is the capital, to represent urban, and in Nairobi we selected Viwandani, which is an informal settlement, and Makueni to represent rural setup, and in Makueni we selected Kimakiu, which represented a typical rural setting in Kenya. In terms of our methodology, we collected data at 2 levels: geospatial, where we collected the GPS coordinates of the outlet selling the food, and then we also collected data on what was sold at the vendor level. We did not collect, we collected personal data, but will not be presented here. Now, regarding the matrix, I have highlighted 3 indices. One, GDR, which measure the overall diet quality, but in this case, translated to measure food environment, and then NCD protect, which in this case has been translated to represent retail healthy food environment score, which measures availability of healthy food groups, and then NCD risk, which in this case has been translated to retail unhealthy food environment score, which measures the availability of unhealthy food groups. In terms of data analysis, I will present descriptive regression to indicate association between retail food environments and the diet quality, and also use local indicators, partial autocorrelation, to see the distribution of healthy or unhealthy food groups. As a way of characterizing the retail outlets, a majority of the food outlets sold exclusively food, but there are those who some sell food and non-food stuff. In addition, a majority of them also were female. There has been distortion a bit, sorry for that. And also here, if you look at the most prominent retail outlets, the most three, both in the rural and the urban, were kiosks, stalls, and tabletops. Now, if you look at the availability of food, in this case, I am not using the NOVA, but I'm using whether it is healthy or unhealthy based on the GDR score computation. You realize that if you look at proportion, rural food environments seem to have higher availability, both healthy and unhealthy food groups. Now, you can also notice that the number of vendors in the rural are fewer than those in the urban. So in other finding, we realize if you consider individual vendor, which we have used here, the interpretation will be there is higher diversity in the rural. But if you consider the number of vendors, then probably the urban performs better, but that is not presented in this study today. Now, if you look at the association between the retail outlets and the food environment quality that we computed. Now, if you look at the healthy food groups, unfortunately, this. Okay, if you look at the healthy food groups, which is represented by HRFES, that is Healthy Retail Food Environment Score, the rural setup across will favor availability of healthy food groups. However, it also favors availability of unhealthy food groups. So it is favoring both compared to the urban. But if you look at the urban, if you look at the coefficient for healthy is 0.5 and for unhealthy is 0.7. So it means the urban more likely favor unhealthy food group compared to healthy food group. Now, if you look at the gender, the female will more likely sell healthy food group compared to the male. Now, looking at the retail outlet types, kiosk, it is not necessarily kiosk. I think that has been misrepresented there. But you see that in terms of healthy food group, stalls, it is down there, 6.7, promote the most healthy food group. But in terms of unhealthy food group, supermarkets, again, that has been distorted, seems to have been down. I don't know why it is hidden there. Okay, so the supermarket also indicated higher probability of indicating unhealthy food groups. But then if you look at the concentration, this is important to see within the extensive food environment area, which areas will you most likely find healthy, which areas will you most find unhealthy food groups. Here, you actually find that HH, which is high concentration of healthy food groups, is less for healthy than the unhealthy. If you look at the number of reds, you see the reds are more in unhealthy compared to the healthy in the rural setup. But also in the urban setup, the the distribution seems nearly to be the same for healthy and unhealthy. In conclusion, this can be used as a way of informing interventions on areas where there are concentration of healthy or unhealthy food groups to better improve availability of healthy food groups. Thank you. This research was funded by BioVision, but also Healthy Diet for Africa under European Union. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nickner. Very sure he will remain here if you have any questions after that session. Unfortunately, we are now getting very much delayed in the process. You saw me approaching. Please send him up here. And he's so tall, you will find him in the community later on. Just look at him above all the others. Because you see, he's much taller than me. Feel free to contact him. Sam, can you come here?
Which one? This one. I hope this
Yeah,
DPT.
this one that you get your microphone.
Yeah, it's PowerPoint, yes. I'll give you this one. Okay. It's video.
Oh, you didn't upload you uploaded an abstract or you uploaded the PowerPoint?
The PowerPoint.
Can you open that? No, so not. Yes. So while we are waiting for Mike to upload, I would like to welcome now Sam Bradinu. I'm practicing his surname, so it's not easy. He's also a colleague of mine, and he will talk about is food promotion and marketing in the school food environment conducive to healthy choices for adolescents. And just to remark, I didn't write to his abstract, no? So it's not that we were favoring my colleagues all the time. It's rather, that's why we actually joined forces. And it was not my evaluation in this case, which led to that presentation. Just a disclaimer, as a conflict of interest. Why did you close it again?
We open it.
It was there.
Yeah, this, yep. In that, can I start? Yeah.
8 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Imgad. Thank you, colleagues. It's really a pleasure for me to stand here to present to you some interesting results that we have from one of the studies we are implementing currently in West Africa. So the study is part of the Healthy Diet for Africa project, and I'm willing to show you what we found as result from this study. The topic is food promotion and marketing in school food environment conducive to more healthy choice among adolescents? And the study had been implemented in Benin and Ivory Coast in West Africa. We all here, we agree on the fact that the world is changing, especially among our diet. We are moving from our traditional diet to more Western diet. And with this change, we have some problem. We have a high energy level diet. We have also low nutrient density and the predominance of the ultra-processed food. As consequence, we have many negative impacts among our health. When we try to analyze the world food environment, we see that the food marketing is a key process, is a key component of the food environment. Why? When I talk about food environment, a simple definition is all the strategies that the food industries are using to push the consumption of a certain type of food. And it's well established that food marketing is really working. It's the reason why food industries, they are using billion and billion on marketing. And we have also some new results regarding the fact that food marketing can also affect the food choices of children, including school children. And maybe this can underline the fact that the non-communicable disease, even among childhood, is something really increasing. In this study, we are trying to achieve 3 different goals. The first one, to map the different marketing elements within
a particular food environment. The second one, to come with a typology of food promoted within the school food environment, and to analyze also the different strategies and claims used within the school food environment. The fourth one is not an objective, it's a goal for us. We hope that with all the information that we'll have, we'll be able to raise the awareness of consumer within the school food environment, and also to be able to discuss with policy makers. So the work itself, we have worked in Benin and Ivory Coast, as I said, and we targeted 4 different cities, considering rural, peri-urban, and urban areas. And in each of these cities, we try to consider one elementary school, the main one in this city. And we draw a radius of 1 kilometer around each of these schools. And in this area, we map all the food environment, the food marketing elements available. We use the geolocalization, and then we use also the photography to map all the food marketing elements. What are we calling food marketing elements? In this study, we consider all the posters, the billboards, the banners, and also signs, everything used to make the promotion of the food within the food environment. And at the end, we came with all these 5 aspects. We come with a mapping of the food environment, highlighting the different food marketing elements. We analyze the density of food marketing element within the school food environment. We assess also the different food group promoted within the food environment, and we made an analysis of the strategies and also the claims. Regarding the food group, we use this particular indicator. My colleague Nicanor said just that we are still discussing the relevance of the NOVA classification, but we use this one in this study because with the NOVA classification, we can have at least an idea about the level of processing of the food available. And we use also some recommended classification, I would say, of nutrition, of claims and also strategies. For example, the nutrition claim and also the health claim. I will present now some key results that we have. With this table, we are presenting the density of the food marketing element within the school food environment. And what we can easily see here is that the food marketing element were really focused or concentrated near the school. Maybe the food industries, they are really targeting school children. And we observed also that when we move from rural to urban areas, the density increased. This means that, for example, in Bukumbe, in the second column, we did not have any food marketing element. But when we go for the peri-urban area, Latitengu, and then for the urban areas, Cotonou and Bouaké, the concentration of the food marketing element were really, really high. This graph are presenting the different maps that we have. Only one element. You'll easily see that the red dots are the more important. So the red dots are representing the ultra-processed food. So we observe that at least 50% of the promoted food within the school food environment were ultra-processed food. What are the food really promoted? We can have it in this graph, the different food group promoted, and easily we can see here alcoholic beverage were the top, followed by sweet and soda. Also, we have also some dairies like yogurt, which were well promoted. When we come to more nutritive, more healthy food, like fruits, vegetables, legumes, they were almost absent in the food promotion. So you can start thinking about what we can have as result. We analyze also the claims, and we observe that we have a good diversity of strategies and also claims used within the school food environment, nutrition claims, health claims. We try to go further and to make some statistical analysis, and we found that the claim used and the strategy used were irrespective to the food group. For example, consider just the nutrition claim. They use the nutrition claim even for ultra-processed food, it's nutritious. It contains iron, it contains vitamin. It's really confusing for school children. Here is just a summary, and we remark easily. One more minute, it's fine. I'll finish in 1 minute. So there are some differences between the different locations. For example, we remarked that the claim diversity was really high in urban area, higher than peri-urban and rural area. And the last line is really important for me. I think I highlight this one. They use the claims irrespective to the food group. Nova 1 non-processed or Nova 4 ultra-processed, they claim this content really high level of nutrient. It's really confusing. So this study, it's not the end. We are still working on these types of activity. And what we can take from this presentation is that urbanization is something really important that affects the diversity of food promoted and also the diversity of food marketing elements. And the ultra-processed food are really well promoted, and we need to pay attention for that. It's important to think about activities like advocacy with policymakers to control a bit what is promoted, to be sure that at the end we will impact positively the food habit of our school children. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. There is time for one question. He managed in less than 10 minutes. There.
Oh, Nora. Yes. Can I go?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Nora. I think it's a good suggestion, and we will need maybe to pay attention to the affordability of this kind of product. Currently, we are trying to analyze the in-store food marketing, because what we did is always related to the out-store, what they can see the road out of the shop. And currently, we are trying to see two aspects, the in-store food marketing, and also if the school children are really paying attention to the food promotion. So it's a good idea to start by promoting fruit, but at the end, we need to pay attention to the affordability. And we need also to work with the school children, because if the demand comes from the school children, for example, they ask for fruit, this will be available in the food environment, and we will think about how we can change a bit the aspect of our different food environment, I think.
And I disagree here. I would market vegetables, fresh vegetables. Just imagine a nice tomato and a nice carrot and some nice greens on a big billboard. This is the way to go, because fruits do have a lot of negative side effects if you consume them too much. Maybe have 3 portions of vegetables and 2 portions of fruits.
Can I disagree again?
Yes.
Okay.
And why you're disagreeing again? Edward, can you already come down here?
Okay. No, I think we need in our advice to focus on both fruit and vegetable. You know, in our context, I'm talking about the West Africa, we do not eat the vegetable itself. We need to cook it.
Why not?
No, we need to cook it. Okay. So we'll continue discussing. Yeah.
Thank you, Sam. And we can continue that debate for sure in the reception tonight. Yes, here. That's right. No, a little lower. Good. Thank you. Yeah, it should fit. You have 8 minutes, huh?
Hello.
I'm skipping the introduction. You have to immediately start and introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Edward Mushi. I'm coming from the Sokoine University of Agriculture in Tanzania. So I proceed with the debate or discussion about the food environment and health choices and consumption. I'm going to present before you the work titled Motives Underlying the Consumption of Health Foods in Urban and Peri-Urban Areas of Tanzania, applying the food choice questionnaire. So a little establishment of the context. We have seen earlier that no country in the world which is not touched by the problem of malnutrition. At least every country has at least one form of malnutrition. The problem is some countries are facing all forms of malnutrition. So there's where the problem began. So in developing countries, including Tanzania, there is a coexistence of both of three forms of malnutrition: stunting and wasting, overnutrition, and macronutrient deficiency. So this poses more problem or challenging in addressing the problem of malnutrition. But the question is, why do we bother of the malnutrition problem? It's because of the health, economic, and social impact that the problem poses. And then, referring to the title, it's about the underlying motives of consumption. Another question could be, why do we bother about what people consume? So what people consume is the results to the malnutrition problem. And this takes us to the concept of consumer food choices. So there is a say that we are what we choose to eat. So that means our health outcomes depends on the choices of food that we do make. So the food decisions involves issues about what we eat, when, where, with whom, and how much do we eat. While we can easily quantify and observe these questions of what, when, where, with whom, and how much, it's not straightforward to determine how do people choose to eat what they eat. So the key question that this study is going to look at is how do people choose and why? So we know what, we can easily know when, where, but we won't easily know the reason why. Why do a person choose what he chooses or she chooses to eat? So while we want to know the why reason, and we have already seen that because of the high prevalence of the malnutrition, it means that people are not choosing health foods. So if we're not choosing health foods, we need to find a way to create the demand for the health food. So creating the demand for health food requires an understanding of the motive that drive people to make food choices. So here is the question of why people choose what they eat. So one of the approaches to elicit the reasons why people choose what they choose to eat is the food choice questionnaire. So the food choice questionnaire was developed by Stockton in 1995 to try to capture people's concern about various issues that relate to healthy, to food choices. So he developed 8 items or issues that have different items, totaling to 34 items, which measures people's perception or people's concern about the choices of different foods, or the choice of the foods they eat. So they go through from healthy, mood, convenience, sensory appeal, natural content, price, weight, control, and familiarity. So there are no sufficient evidence to tell which motive or which issue causes what type of food choices among consumers. So in this study, the first objective is to assess the consumer's concern about the importance that they put on those factors of the food choice questionnaire. And the second one is to see how do those motivations or issues influence the consumption of fruits and vegetables, making the 2 food groups as proxies for healthy diet. The study was conducted in Tanzania and is being funded by the Focal Active project. And the method of analysis employed, we use descriptive statistics and the stepwise regression analysis. The key findings from the study is that the consumer were found to put more importance when they choose their foods, or specifically when they choose vegetable and fruits, on the sensory appeal, followed by the convenience of food, in the sense of how to obtain food, how to prepare, how easy to access it, and the like. But we found that familiarity is the least important factor that the consumer consider when they choose food. A similar pattern is cut across rural and urban areas. We find urban areas put also more importance on sensory appeal, issues like how the food look physically, the color, for example, also the taste, the texture of food. So those are the things that consumers put as the most important criterion for food choice. Looking on whether there is a statistical causal effect of these motives into the actual consumption of fruits and vegetables, we found that health and sensory appeal, I mean here hence concerns and sensory appeal, were found to be significantly predicting the likelihood of consumers consuming vegetables. While we found that convenience and weight control are significant motives for the consumption of fruits among the surveyed consumers. Also, being living rural has more likelihood of consuming vegetables than living in urban areas. So we can conclude that these findings underscores the necessity of integrating the consumer preferences into strategies that aim to foster sustainable demand for healthy foods. Therefore, any efforts that we put forward to create the demand for healthy food, we should not only focus on the supply side, looking at issues of supply or production, looking at issues of food safety and quality. We need to come to the consumer again to look what does he or she prefers. So breeding programs, for example, should consider what looks appeal to the person to consume. We can have a very good food type of very good variety, but it's not on people's convenience, it's not on people's appeal. So they may end up not consuming the same, even if they are healthy. So the food environment, again, we need to shape them in a way that they provide healthy food, which are convenient, which have sensory appeal, and the like, which consumers show that they are the things that they look when they choose health foods. Thank you.
Thank you very much. While you're reflecting your question, is T Sound Young here? Are you here? Okay, then we can upload the presentation. No, you keep your microphone. Yes.
Somewhat. So far I haven't identified, and yeah, because I would like to pass you through all the items. They are easily things which they can understand. So I didn't find, otherwise I could have modified it or adapted it. Yeah. So I found myself that they are sufficient to capture their perception about health choices.
No, but I do have I'm very confused because vegetables are actually much better for weight control than fruits. But there was no association, or did I miss it? Because it looks like that also the knowledge might be something which needs to be addressed to make a proper healthy food choice.
So I would agree with that. So it's something that the results came out, which was not likely expected. So I will take that. I agree that probably food literacy or health literacy is something that need to be addressed. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there another question? No. He may have to stick to Nicanor so that you find him in the end. Because I think that something in common, they look into in a debate, we can start a discussion on how we link the retail system, that's what you were saying, with the motives of the consumers in terms of the interaction. It would be really interesting to see how Kenya and Tanzania could actually match the two ideas and improve also in terms of thinking, because the cultural setting is very close. Asante sana, not Karibu, Asante sana.
Yeah.
Corey
Okay.
is stepping in.
Yes, I am not Nguyen T. Sao. I am Corey Whitney, but I was one of the co-authors, so I'll do my best to give you the story of this work. Yeah, I've got the same one there. So we're going to talk today about, we talked a little bit about decisions, and that's our focus in the work that we're doing and the work that Sal's been doing. We're focused really on that problem. What are people deciding? And within food environments, what kind of decisions do they make? What kind of opportunities do they have? And can we do models to help support interventions to food environments to make these decisions more sustainable? So we're part of a project called Nutrition Intervention Forecasting and Monitoring. And our idea within this project is to provide relevant decision support through modeling approaches, transdisciplinary approaches to support sustainable food environments and improve nutrition outcomes. We're working in Vietnam and Myanmar. This work is in urban Hanoi in Vietnam. And I'm going to tell you really three main things. Hopefully within the time that's allotted, I'll tell you a little bit about modeling for scalability. So we're a little bit data agnostic. We're not so interested in gathering empirical evidence as understanding how systems function. So I'll try to briefly touch on that. Talk about pilot intervention we're working on. So Sao and her team have been piloting an intervention to test the model that we've developed to try to see about the scalability of these food environment interventions, and talk a little bit about the framework, the implications of our procedures, and how these can influence maybe development research if we'd like to have impact, if we'd like to see people changing their decisions in food environments and making them more sustainable. The pain point, the issue here is that low-income workers, we're focused in particular on low-income workers within this urban environment. They rely on traditional markets, but they don't really have good mechanisms for getting food which has been gone through a quality control system. So they lack safety and quality controls. Accessing safe vegetables is a challenge. And they work, there are these large factories. You may know that Vietnam is a very large producer of garments, for example. There are large factories, people are working there, they're low-income consumers. They would like to have safe and certified or controlled safe vegetables. They can't really access those, but the factories they work for are interested in promoting and supporting that connection between consumers and sustainable foods or certified safe foods, fruits and vegetables. So this was really interesting. In her work, she went together with community members. We had an iterative series of sessions to try to understand what are local perceptions of food environments, how do they function, what are the challenges. Based on this discussion, you can look at it later, maybe based on this discussion, we formulated an overview of how the food environments look for these low-income communities, these people who work in these factories. We formulated a decision model related to one intervention that was identified with those same groups of experts. And with this model, we formulated a general understanding, very complex. The model is too many variables to show you here, but we try to incorporate all relevant costs, benefits, and risks of making a change to the food environment, and whether we think that would have an effect on the company's bottom line. They care about their bottom line. They want to make sure not to lose a lot of money through this. Would people stay on? Would they get a good benefit from this? Would they work better? Maybe for the supplier of those safe fruits and vegetables, mainly vegetables, would they then get a benefit from this? And ultimately the food environment. So that was very complex, but we try to model the implications on sustainable food environments for those communities of a vegetable selling point on the campus of a garment factory. Then this is very brief for you. I'm not going to talk about the model in detail, but we formulated a simulation. This is a Monte Carlo simulation. We ran it many, many times, simulated many possible futures. And here you're seeing the difference between two potential options for the company. They could allow a farm stand to establish itself on campus for those workers to access these safe vegetables, or they could connect farmers to those consumers and have less of a role, no infrastructure, no need for hosting, and no insurance issues, et cetera, and for the benefits of this. Here we're simulating those things, and we can see that the expectation based on all of our experts' inputs and all of the simulations that we built, that we could see that putting the farm stand on campus, although expensive and time consuming, et cetera, was more worthwhile, we expect, than connecting farmers directly. So we want to validate this model. We want to know if it's a good recommendation for a larger scale. Should we make that recommendation to Hanoi, to the government, to companies across Hanoi? Well, we want to find out by learning a little bit more on the ground. So we piloted a vegetable stand on a large company's campus. And our partner, this is who would have been presenting to you, Fruit and Vegetable Research Institute. They hosted this process where they connected farmers collective, producers of vegetables with this stand. They put the stand on campus, and we found they had to travel a long way, and they did a lot of work. And we found that the challenges, let me just skip ahead to the challenges. So here's how they sort of modulated the intervention. So they have different types of vegetables that are supplied and times that these are supplied, when people are leaving campus, when shift changes are happening, and whether they provide that to the canteen or just to a stand on campus. And we found that this is really interesting for us because it helps us to update our model when we're making recommendations that are scalable. We found that there are issues related to the food supply and demand, the appearance of the vegetables, and other things that cause some issues. So these need to be addressed in order for this to be manageable at the large scale. But ultimately, our pilot helped us to validate our model and tell us more about whether this would be a reasonable intervention. Working with local community members was very effective in this sense. We were able to make realistic recommendations at a larger scale. Decision model is very cool. If you want to learn more, come to the rest of our talks. We'll talk to you about it in detail. And ultimately, we think that this type of approach, so if we can make use of expertise from local people, those who have lived experiences, who know about how these complex systems function, and we can use that expertise to operationalize a model that can then we can make recommendations at a scale where this could be potentially rolled out and promoted to policymakers, to other, in this case, garment factories or other factories within the urban setting, then we can make real interventions to sustainable food environments. I think that's the end of this. Thank you. Here's a course overview of that model that I didn't show you.
It's always hard to put everything into 8 minutes. There's not even a question for clarification. Interesting. Because I didn't understand one of the figures. Can you
Good,
go
tell
back
us.
one of
Yeah.
those figures?
Which one do you want to look at?
The one with the farm, no, one of these, this one.
This one here?
No, the other one, this one.
Yes. Time's up.
Yes, you have one and a
Yes, so, okay, great. So, yeah, this actually, the whole story of transdisciplinary approaches to formulate a model of a complex system and run this as a simulation and then generate an outcome and look at the distribution. It's like a really long joke. If you don't listen to every detail, then you don't get the punchline. And I had to give it to you very quickly, so maybe it was hard to follow. What is this about? This is a box plot. Everybody familiar? You're all scientists, right? Everybody's familiar with the box plot. The box plot represents a distribution of the model simulation. So we run our model many, many, many times. And what each of these box plots are showing us, there are two box plots that we're actually looking at two comparisons. So we're comparing the two box plots to each other, but they're each comparisons of the do nothing. That's our scenario 3 on the list. Do nothing, don't do anything, don't make any intervention at all. That means factory workers go on working as they are. They go on accessing food as they do. Or we have these other scenarios, which is we could connect the farmers to the consumers, one I told you about, or we can put a farm stand on campus. And in each of these scenarios, we don't have any empirical evidence that we can gather. This is based on a simulation. Empirical evidence comes later when we do our pilot study, but we want to make recommendations. This is a distribution showing the difference between not doing anything and doing something, and based on expert inputs for both model structures and much of the data that's in our model as well. This is expert, ultimate transdisciplinarity and quantitative approaches,
Thank you very much. And if you still have not understood this, follow me and Corey, and then we will debate
discuss.
this. Because just there also, you can come down already and you pass on the microphone. Yes. The Alliance, I now have a conflict of interest because we can give you some information about the data, how the market in Hanoi may perform. So maybe we also link up with each other and test your model. And they're publicly available. These are videos done by adolescents. So if you go to YouTube and you look for the Alliance Adolescents and Food Environment, you will find videos that you did that showed us how they actually interact with the food environment. If you don't find that YouTube link, let me know. We can still figure it and send it somehow via the Google. And meanwhile, I would like to
Sorry.
Tanya, now as a lady, she gets the official introduction.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for staying on. We started late, there was a lot of interruptions. And after that, we will have a happy walk together and a discussion on the way to the reception. Tanya will walk us through now to the rather agriculture perspective on food environment. At least that's what I'm expecting from your title. Let's see.
Yes, it's a blend. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I am Chaitanya from University of Agriculture Science, Bangalore, and I'm here presenting my oral talk on the topic of land use and food consumption pattern along rural-urban transect in Bangalore. And the work was done in collaboration with Dr. Kira Fasna from OPATS, University of Kassel, Germany. So, India is rapidly urbanizing, transforming the land use, livelihoods, and also the diets. So it's country's fastest growing metropolitan city. It's a capital city of a state from the southern part of India. So we see that it's been urbanizing. The urbanization, the infrastructure is been increasing, whereas the cropland is gone decreasing. It's not only sticking to the city of capital, it's not only sticking to the capital city, but it's also in the case of its nearby parts of the transact, or you can also we can also say that not only the Bangalore district has been urbanizing, it's influencing its nearby parts. But before going to the main part, I would like to start by telling Annadatta Sukhino Bhava. It says that let the provider of the food be blessed and be happy. So if we try to link up the urbanization to the food. So this is the typical Indian food, which tells about the diversification of the food we have. So we just wanted to try and attempt to link the land use, the urbanization, and how it's linking up to the diversification of the food. And is there any link? So the thing, it started with an attempt with framing three research questions, like how do socioeconomic factors, mainly the income, household size of a family, and the land, would shape the household food choices? And how have the food household consumption patterns in peri-urban, urban, and rural areas have been changed over the past 20 years? And do this shift in the food consumption pattern link with the land use? So for the study, we chose a capital city of southern state, Karnataka, in which the regions were divided into urban, peri-urban, and rural. Bangalore being the capital city was considered as an urban part, and the rural villages were considered, which was lying up to 60 to 100 kilometers radius from the parliament city. And between this urban and rural, we wanted to also study about the transact that was the peri-urban. So we considered a town called Magadi as a peri-urban to study all the three transacts. So the household survey was done in the month of February, March, and April of 2025, where 300 households in rural, peri-urban, and urban were selected. So we collected detailed information on the socioeconomic characteristics from the region of where they are living to the household size, landholding, etc. And also in front of the food consumption pattern. Have they seen any changes in their food consumption over 20 years? Or it's been same, or is it increasing, decreasing? And also, as the study was also being concerned about the agriculture land in rural area, we also tried to attempt to see the trends in agriculture land use. So let's dive up into some numbers and the data and figures. So if we compare the food expenditure comparison by area, urban in the red plot says that they are spending more because they are completely into the market dependence. And the box plot result says that they're spending on average of 116 euros per month per household, whereas rural is the least. Peri-urban being stuck between both urban and rural, having an average of 66 euros per month per household. And when we did a Tobit regression analysis to see how the socioeconomic characters affect the food expenditure being a dependent variable, it tells an important think that more the income in a family, we are spending a bit more on the food with a 1% significance level. And also the household size tells that more number of people in the home, we spend more on the food expenditure, or we are spending more on the food. But the land element tells that if we are owning a land, we still have the chance to grow our own food. So that's what the results was trying to say. And if you see where the share of the food expenditure is actually going. So the dairy products has the highest share of the food expenditure in all the three regions, urban, peri-urban, and rural, with 32.1 euros per month in urban, 14.5 euros in peri-urban, and 9.7. So we also wanted to see where the urbanization is influencing, that is the processed foods, the urban spend more as compared to other two. And the main food value was also considered to be in the vegetable form. And the same, the urban is spending more as vegetables being still grown in the rural has their own land, they're spending the least. And if you see the changes in the food consumption pattern over the 20 years, which was collected in an attributable value, the dairy products, the urban people says that it has been increased in urban, whereas cereals has been increasing in peri-urban and rural. So you may see they were spending least in cereals if you compare to the last slide, but there is increase in the consumption for cereals in urban and peri-urban. The most important factor which was influencing in the change of food consumption in peri-urban and rural was a scheme which was introduced by India of public distribution system, where in rural and peri-urban, people are being offered limited amount of cereals for free of cost. So because of this scheme, though they're spending less amount on the cereals, the consumption has been increased. So when we asked where actually the food to their plates is coming from, the main part to link up with food consumption to the land use or the urbanization, the urban people are almost dependent on the supermarkets like D-Mart or the supermarkets which are easily available, like with 70% dependence on the supermarkets, which are also a bit expensive. And the peri-urban people were dependent on the local shops, as they were not growing their own food and as their land has been decreasing, and as supermarkets also a bit expensive for them, so they were just sticking on to the local shops nearby. And the rural people were sticking on to the own production. As we see the photographs, which is the livestock and the crops grown in the area of rural regions, which I collected, they're still sticking on growing their own food. They still want to grow their own food, rear the animals, and consume. And if you see the compound annual growth rate of pigeon pea, which is one of the major crop grown in the region of the study, we see that even in the urban area, it's been decreasing, but it's been already urbanized. The main focus was to see the decrease in the land area and the production of the main crop grown. It's showing minus 9.81 in the land area and minus 10.12% in production of the main crop. So we see that peri-urban is stuck between not growing their own crop, own food, and not also to the complete urbanization. So I would like to conclude the study that from the rural area, which has the slowest change sticking onto their own production, to peri-urban, which is also seeing the cropland loss, bit rising of market dependence, it's just caught between the traditional and modernized diets. And the urban people, they have no land, so almost the food changes has been changed, but with high expenditure because they're earning more, and the diets have been completely shaped by urbanization and modernization. So among many things, land conversion is also one main cause for the changes and transformation of diets. So land conversion is not just about the food, it also reshapes how households source and consume the food. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What is, yeah, you.
Thank you very much. What is that expenditure behind as compared to urban? Well, before you give the segregated data, so can you share one the postulates?
Yeah.
So my
Yes, here. The forever was in the middle, right?
Yeah, it's stuck between the,
Are you saying that there was high expenditure
the food expenditure is highest in urban with on average of 116.6 euros per month per household. And whereas in rural, it's 36.4 euros per month per household. And peri-urban is 66.8 euros. It's just decreasing. Yeah.
So my question is, so how do you consider of like your career and career?
Peri-urban, so we have an institute in India which is called National Statistic Organization, and it comes with its own definition for classifying urban, peri-urban and rural. So the area which lies between 0 to 30-kilometer radius from the state parliament is considered as urban with more population and household. And the one which lies between 30 to 60-kilometer radius from the state parliament of a state is peri-urban, and from 60 to 100-kilometer radius from within the district is considered as rural. Yeah. And the region what we consider is a town. It's not a big city and it's not the village. So it's the transition between the both. Yeah. This one? We had actually classified the sources of the food as 5. One is own production, one is the supermarkets, one is the local shop, and one is the like we have very high supermarkets and the local shop, and we also have something called online shopping, like Big Basket and those such online platforms where the prices are fluctuating every time based on the dependency and based on the festivals. So even the source of food was also considered for the online shopping. Like we have some 5, 6 online platforms for the procurement of food.
I
So-
think the question was among the rule, if own production is delivering.
Among the rural,
55%, what is the next step? What is covering the 45%?
the local shops. Among the 5, we like for all the regions, we had considered 5 sources. And then in that, we were seeing which has the highest procurement for which region.
Yes.
This is like typical, the rural, like the 300 households which we considered is the primary data, and to support the results, we also had the secondary data set to support the results. So the almost study was on the primary households, because the secondary data is not done, especially in the particular region wise. It's done only the superficial. So we have done the primary households too. It's on primary data.
So we have a final question there, and we are giving credit that she is now the last one. She had to wait all the time. Okay.
So what I followed was the basic system what in the Indian institutes follow. We take the procurement, like how much do they consume every month on a 30 days pre-call, and we calculate the prices what they buy. So by calculating the amount in the terms of like kgs, kilograms, and then we convert them into numerical way by calculating the prices of those commodities. And from that, we calculate the overall food expenditure.
Thank you very much for your attention. And I would like to invite you tomorrow morning. We do have a poster session and continue on the food environment. The poster session starts with Chiara, who has just got the Hans Rutenberg Award. So you get more details and another opportunity to talk to her. But then at the same time, there will be also a lot of very interesting other food environment studies being presented. It's a challenging session because it starts, first of all, in time at 8:30 in the tent with many others. Don't get confused there. Try to be there and concentrate. We need to be rather disciplined around the posters because space is limited. Then at the same time, there will be another nutrition session. So check the program where it is. There is one, for example, on Thursday with Aspasia at the same room as here, called Sustainable Nutrition Security. And there's another poster session, and there is one session with Gudrun. So please feel free to join us. But the challenge here in this room is rather far, so take your time to come in time. It helps. By this, enjoy the evening. Oh, sorry, there's one more information. Tomorrow at 11, don't get frustrated because nothing will happen. The sirens will be going on at 11 a.m. You will have a sharp signal. Sometimes phones will rattle, but this is just a trial. And just consider this as a trial to be prepared for potential war, something which is happening here in this German environment at the moment. And by this, I would like you also to call your attention to an initiative I have taken up in LinkedIn in battling against weaponizing food. It's something I would like to have come as an outcome out of this conference as well. So if you agree that food should not be used as a weapon, please address this to the organizers and the ATSA board so that we may come up with a declaration from this conference. By this, enjoy still the evening and I'll hopefully enjoy it despite that many are suffering not having food. Thank you very much.